About some that didn't make it, and I can go through the list. I've got the list here based on the scores. Those that were close that didn't make the cut. Of course, the Audi S5 was on for 5 years. That was the 3-liter supercharged V6. The BMW X5, which was the 3-liter diesel, phenomenal engine, didn't make the cut this year. A couple of electric vehicles that didn't make it: the Fiat 500e and the Kia Soul. The Mercedes C400, which is the bi-turbo 3-liter V6. I mentioned earlier the Audi the S3 with the 2-liter turbo. That didn't make it. Acura RLX Sport Hybrid was close. 2 more diesels were very close. They were basically neck and neck in terms of our scoring, and that was the Chevy Cruze and also the Volkswagen TDI. The Hyundai Genesis was close with the V8. And then, of course, the Ford F-150, with the 2.7 twin-turbo V6 EcoBoost. And I'll talk about that briefly. The reason it didn't make it was basically the fuel economy. I think the 2.7 EcoBoost in the F-150 is a really nice engine. It moves the truck well. Plenty of power. I think the NVH is phenomenal. The whole truck, it's really buttoned up tightly.
And really benchmark engineering and with the way they handled it with the first application of a compacted graphite iron cylinder. A big portion of it is compacted graphite iron.
The bottom part is aluminum. So,
very, very innovative design and really impressive work that they did. And so, I think we all were really impressed with everything. It was just kind of disappointing when we finally spent 10 days in it driving to see the kind of fuel economy numbers that
the fuel economy did not stack up. Especially, it did not stack up to the diesel in the Ram. So that's ultimately what it came to.
But it's a gasoline engine asking it to stack up to the diesel. I don't know if a stacking up would be the right word. I think maybe get a little bit closer to what the diesel. I don't think anybody expected it to reach that, but 17,
I felt
15.
it was competitive enough to have gotten a little more consideration. Frankly, I think we were looking a little too closely at fuel economy sometimes. You don't have to be the lowest as long as you're competitive in the dealership world with your product, and I think the same is applicable here.
But in the case of the 2.7, you expect the 2.7 to get you significantly better fuel economy than the 3.5 EcoBoost did.
Not in that big of a truck. I think it's just it's a mismatch there. Too small of an engine for too big of a truck.
Well, it puts out, the thing is, it makes a lot of power. We haven't talked about that. It's like a 2.7 liter, makes 325 horsepower. And what's the torque number is really big. I can't, it's not, but
I'll have to look it up.
But it makes a lot of power and torque for an engine that size. So it's very powerful. But I think the whole thing is being turbocharged. You get into that, you start running those turbos too often, and suddenly your fuel economy goes down. So you do the truck's fast. It performs great, but it just to do that, your foot's pretty hard on the pedal, and that.
Well, maybe Christy's right there because of the small engine, and it's working a lot harder all the time to pull that truck.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the real heartbreaker on the list, and that's the S5, the 3-liter supercharged. Probably the hardest decision, at least I think we've had to make in leaving that thing off the list, because it continues to be one of the most outstanding engines that we test.
It is.
I have fought that battle for many years, insisting that it belongs on the list. This year, I finally reached the point where I recognize that we really have to award the new technology. They've done nothing to it for several years, and as long as they. I started to understand it a little bit better. But when we have so many other engines putting out some amazing concepts, we really need to recognize those. So, if my choice was that or the BMW i3, I wanted that i3 on the list.
But still, as far as performance and fun to drive, if if that was a factor, it's, maybe they haven't done anything to it, but it's still one of the best.
Well, from a manufacturing perspective, if it isn't broke, let's not fix it,
Right.
And the other thing that's kept it on the list is this isn't just a low volume performance engine. This goes across all, not only the Audi platforms, but VW platforms. So
Porsche uses it?
Yeah, with
the hybrid car.
The hybrid car, so it's used throughout on their CUVs, their cars. It's like the entry level engine on their A8. It's used all over the place. It's a great engine.
When they improve it, when they do something to it, we'll be happy to bring it back into the office and drive it. Something else, I was surprised that that neither of the small diesels made the list. The Volkswagen TDI Golf and also the Cruise diesel. I will say
Both of which had made the list earlier.
well,
the Cruise anyway.
The Cruise was on the list last year. The Volkswagen TDI had been on the list a number of times in the past, but now there's an all-new TDI, and so that puts these two engines up against each other. And I like them both, but in our evaluations, the TDI basically clobbered the Cruise in terms of fuel economy, and I thought the NVH was slightly better. I think some people had different opinions about the
I
NVH.
think the Cruise NVH was better than last year. Didn't they
Yeah, I
make
felt it was
improvements on that?
worse, actually.
You thought the Cruise?
I thought it was worse. I think,
Really?
yeah, for me it was worse. It
In
seemed
what way, like vibration of the steering wheel? And
it just noise. There seemed to be more noise, but maybe we were testing in cooler
I think
temperatures.
it was colder this year than it was
Yeah.
last. Yes.
Well, to me, it was almost that the Cruise and the TDI almost canceled each other out, because the Cruise has an overboost feature that gives you a lot of power, and it's a lot of fun to drive, and still I think has a higher overall highway number. And that kind of put the onus to me. Then I went into the TDI, all new TDI. I was expecting it to be a little bit more fun. Absolutely, the fuel economy's there. I mean, it's wow.
geared for fuel
I mean, it
economy.
just hits you in the face with fuel economy. But it was a little less fun to drive.
So this is your last chance to cry in your beer. Anything else that you want to throw out there about engines that we tested this year that should have been on the list?
Well, you know how I feel about EVs, and I don't think you guys really respect EVs, but
You wanted the sole EV on the list.
I did. They've done a lot of work there. They've got some technology that's some of the same technology that's forthcoming in the new Volt. Yes, it's a big battery pack, to your point, but we've got two big V8 engines. What's bigger is better.
It really was a good car. I mean, it was fun to drive, and it was it was a very practical vehicle for once. It's a good sized vehicle,
price.
and good price, and I had to respect what they did. It is a lot of fun, but again, when I just focused right in on the powertrain, I thought it was good, but I just didn't see it distinguishing itself as.
It's a nice package, especially for an EV, but I still got to go. If you're going to ask me what I thought could have been on the list, it would be the 5-liter from Hyundai. I think that's
that was
just a
good.
very
smooth.
creamy, smooth,
Very smooth.
V8.
Lots of power.
Very, very well done. Truly a luxury engine.
And as we like to thin the herd, as we get down to the final 10, there's only so many spots. We like to have a very holistic, diverse list, right? So we only evaluated 3 V8s this year. To put all 3 of them on the list, to me, I think would be excessive, especially V8 sales are going down while all the smaller engine sales are going up. So I couldn't see, Corvette, Hellcat, and also the Genesis V8. I do
All
love
good
the Genesis
engines
V8.
nonetheless.
All good
engines
engines, but
nonetheless.
there's only 10 slots.
And really, and the Genesis was really talked about. That ultra refined. I mean, just man, that is a luxury V8.
So next year, 2016 Ward's 10 best engines. A number of engines that we would be evaluating. Of course, we don't know about all of them yet, but of course the Chevy Impala with CNG. It's a flex fuel vehicle. We were supposed to get it this year for evaluation, but they couldn't get it to us in time. So we'll have that next year. The Mercedes B-Class electric vehicle, and also the Shelby GT350. That'll be a lot of fun next year. And just so you're aware, the reason that the Corvette Z06 is not in the competition, and it won't be next year, is because the pricing is too high. We have a $60,000 base price cap, and it's just going to be over the price cap. So until next year, we will talk again about the 10 Best Engines competition. Thanks.